So the first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the February minutes. I think you have all received copies of it. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay, motion's been made. Can I have a second?
I second it.
Deborah seconds it. Any need for discussion? Hearing no need for discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, thank you. Next item is treasurer's report.
So I sort of forgot to go check our mail today, like I was going to, but
Okay,
I got it. I checked it last week, so we're pretty up to date, but I forgot to check it while the town offices were, until about 15 minutes before this meeting. So,
okay,
so I might be missing, I don't think I'm missing a whole lot. The last deposit I'm showing from the community garden registrations was on the 22nd of February. Deb, was there another one after that, or?
I think that was about right. I haven't been there. How much was it for, Laura? I can go get my book and tell you exactly.
About $90.
Sounds about right. I'm gonna go grab my book real quick just to make sure. You
Okay.
go ahead, keep going and I'll go grab that.
Okay, so in the donation account, we now have $2,315.01.
excuse me, how much?
2,315.01.
Okay, thank you.
In the remaining budget, we have $1,061.47.
Okay,
There are some outstanding items against both of those, but
okay. We can cover those in a few minutes, I think.
yeah. And then, and again, there's a few outstanding items on this, but right now I'm showing the ending balance in the grant money as $2,132.89.
2,132.89.
Yeah.
Okay,
So outstanding items in each of those for the grant money is $935.16, which I think you're going to talk about later, right?
yes, that's under new business.
Okay. And then there's $150 outstanding item in the donation account, which is the funds not to exceed to repair the rototiller.
Okay,
And then the budget outstanding items are 2 electric bills for a total of $2,105.
right. And we'll get to all those in a minute.
Yeah.
So Laura, I'm confirming the last deposit I made was 90.
Perfect.
I'm holding some checks and we'll talk about them later.
Okay. And I'm probably going to run up and check the mail tomorrow and can just confirm all of that. I didn't think there was any more money coming in, but there might be some other correspondence that
I did put copies of the thank you letters that I sent to the people who made additional donations, and
Yep.
they've all been mailed. Whatever I put in the mailbox are copies
Okay.
of
Yes.
what's been mailed out.
Okay.
All right, very good. Anything else, Laura? Okay.
Nope.
So you've heard the treasurer's report. I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I move we accept it.
Okay, motion's been made. Can I have a second?
I will second it.
Deborah? All right, motion's been made in second. Any need for further discussion? Having no need for further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Review of incoming correspondence. Laura?
Yes. So a new national grid bill totaling $32.25. Current charges were $10.42, which I believe has now been turned in.
Yes.
The March, April Powderhouse News, for some reason, all of a sudden that came in.
Okay.
So now there's another copy of it in my house. One right to farm disclosure.
Okay.
and the February 22nd deposit and related thank you notes for donations. So thanks, Deb. And that was it as of last week.
Okay, very good, thank you. Anybody need to discuss that or have any comments relative to the correspondence? Okay, let's move on then. How about emails, Laura?
Yeah, there's a few of those. So February 10th, the spring plant sale from the Worcester County Conservation District. Spring plant and seedling sale is open for online orders, and there are scholarships available. On February 11th, from the Board of Selectmen, an email to Berlin's boards and committees regarding the new handbook. February 12th, from MDAR, the Mass Grown and Fresher News. And it had a big thing because it was right before Valentine's Day to spread some local love this Valentine's Day. Also, February 12th from MDAR is the Farm and Market Report. Some other stuff that had passed, deadlines had passed already. On February 26th from the Board of Selectmen, bringing Herbie back to Berlin, which I got from several other sources. So I think
Bringing what back to Berlin? I'm not sure I understood you.
Herbie.
Herbie, okay.
In quotes, it's the name of an old tree that I guess they've taken grafts from or something
Okay,
and trying to reestablish.
I
okay.
think it's an ash tree, isn't it? It's an ash tree.
I think, no, it's an elm.
Elm tree, I think.
Okay.
It's an elm because I
knew
remember
it was an
thinking,
endangered one.
yeah, I remember thinking, well, every elm tree in my yard eventually gets Dutch elm, so I don't know. So then on March 3rd from NRCS, the Farm Succession Planning webinar series. I don't know if anybody's interested in any of that. The Worcester County Conservation sent out grant webinars, rain garden links, coupon and seedling sale updates. MDR sent out Mass Grown Exchange. I guess they're adding job postings to that. So it was food and produce buyers and recent listings for lettuce, fruits, beef, and honey. And now they have job postings on there too. On March 4th, NCRS is now, it's not them hiring it, now hiring a farm assistant, and it happens to be for Community Harvest Project in North Grafton. And today came out the Science and Art of Tomato Culture Zoom seminar announcement, which will be March 21st at 2 p.m. If anybody wants any of that, I'm happy to forward it.
Okay, very good.
And that's
Anybody
about all.
Anybody have any questions? Or want Laura to forward anything to you? Okay, moving on. Under the category of old business, this should move along quite quickly because I think just about everything has been taken care of. Purchase of raised beds. We had previously agreed to purchase 6 galvanized raised beds. They have now all been purchased. I have 3 here at the farm, and Michael has 3 in his box truck. So he'll be bringing them here the latter part of March to free up his truck. And whenever Deborah is ready, we'll start bringing them down to the community garden one at a time and placing them in the appropriate spots. So that item is completed. Purchase of seasonal gardening fencing, posts and gates. All those items have been purchased, and I have them stored here at the farm as well. We've been carrying this item for a bit of a time, the additional security requirements at the community garden. Again, I would like to leave that on hold until we know where the bottom line is with our grant money after all the other items have been procured as we have previously discussed. The last item under old business, raised bed from the highway department. I have spoken to David. He will provide the lumber at no cost, and the highway department will assemble it. It will be a 4x8 bed, with 2-inch thick by 10-inch width pine stock. David has his own sawmill, so he'll be providing that material at no cost to us. So that concludes the section under old business. Anybody have any questions? Moving on to new business. The first item, invoices totaling $935.16 for one of the 6 raised beds, the fence posts, the fencing, and the gates. That was submitted today to our town accountant for reimbursement to me, so I can get it off my credit card. I have requested from Amazon reimbursement of the Massachusetts sales tax of $21.69. That figure is not included in the $935.16. If they send that to me, that'll be credited against my account. And if for some reason it's a problem, it'll be a donation. Just leave it at that. Next item, National Grid invoices for January and February, again, have been submitted to our town accountant. They're in process of being paid. Those 2 invoices total $21.05. Next item on the new business, the reshingling of the community garden shed roof. I was hoping Buddy was going to be here tonight. He and I had a general conversation on this matter. He was looking at the possibility of being able to reshingle right over the existing shingles within a budget of somewhere in the neighborhood of $500. So we'll have to get his confirmation on that before we can proceed. I think we will have adequate funding if that number holds within our grant account. So we've got plenty of time to do this. This will be something that would be done, this summer. And once the highway department removes the solar array from the roof of the garden shed. So I don't think there's anything more to say on that matter. The next item under new business, purchase of cement blocks, timbers, and ground cover and ground staples. So Deborah and I have been talking in general terms about the layout of our new raised beds. As we mentioned, there's a total of 6 of them that we purchased, plus the new one from the highway department. And as you know, we have raised beds already down there adjacent to the garden shed. So the thinking was, once we have all these raised beds in place, it's going to create a mowing problem and a weed problem in that area. And in order to avoid that and keep the place looking neater, I had suggested to Deborah that we should consider purchasing some ground cover. This is ground cover used in nurseries. And if any of you who have been to my farm here have probably seen it out in my sales area. This is a highly durable material. Water penetrates through it. I have some in place that's been out there for 15 or more years and is still in pretty good shape. Keeps the weeds down, keeps the place looking neat. So I can't, and also to secure that to the ground, we'd need what they call ground staples. I contacted Griffin's greenhouse supply company to get an estimate for both of those items. So for a 4-foot wide roll of that material plus the staples, and the roll is 300 feet long, by the way, it's 4 by 300. And the staples, you're looking around $127. So just keep that in mind for a minute while we discuss a couple of other items relative to the raised bed area.
Can you repeat that number, please?
Approximately $127 and change.
Okay, thank you.
So, the other items, cement blocks and timbers. So we plan to put 2 of the 8-foot-long galvanized tanks over by the handicap parking area. And those 2 raised beds will be used for people with disabilities. We have, I guess, one potential gardener who uses a walker. So we're thinking of putting down some of this ground cover in that area, putting 2 of the galvanized raised beds in that area. But the beds are only approximately 2 feet in height. So we think it would be appropriate to put 4 cement blocks down and 2 pressure treated timbers on top of it, probably 8x8 timbers, 8 feet long, which will give us another approximately 12 inches in height. So the 2 raised beds, when we're done, would be about 3 feet in height, which would be more accommodating with somebody with a disability. So I haven't actually priced the timbers, but I'm guesstimating the timbers and the cement blocks are probably going to be around $150. That's a pure guesstimate. And the last thing, although it's not part of the categories that we're discussing, as you know, we have purchased this plastic seasonal fencing and plastic fence posts. And in order to secure the fencing to the post, we'll need some cable ties. That's the easiest way to do it, I have found. And we'll need quite a few of them. I'm again guesstimating that a quantity of those will probably cost us about $50. So if we look at the ground cover and staples of about $127, $150 or thereabouts for the pressure treated timbers and cement blocks and the cable ties, you're looking at somewhere around $327 additional expenditures. So that's what that line item is all about, and we can now that you understand it, we can discuss it further.
I would say that we probably give you another $100 leeway because the price of timber is skyrocketing.
That's what I understand, the material pricing, and that's why I was a little hesitant on the 150. I know building material prices in a lot of cases have actually doubled. So I appreciate that, Kevin, and I think it's probably a good idea. Does anybody have any questions about how we would like to lay this out and with the ground cloth and the timbers or anything like that? Is that did I make that clear, or is there a need for further clarification on that point? Everybody's happy with that? Okay. So let me get back to you, Kevin, on the money part of it. So I had guesstimated $327 and what are you saying? Put another $100 on there?
I would say so for now that, you're estimating, but you haven't got exact figures, and
Right.
but you don't have to come back to us and say, oh, I need this, or I need more of this.
Okay.
I
So
just say we give you the leeway now and we're done with it.
so rounding that's about $425 for the items I've just outlined. Can I have a motion to authorize me to go forward? Oh, before I say that, I will also try to use the town's highway department's credit card to make these purchases, which will give us a little bit of a discount, about 3% discount. And no question about not having to pay the sales tax. So if we have a motion that would allow me to expend up to $425 for the timbers, the cement blocks, cable ties, and what's the other item I mentioned? Oh, the ground cover and staples.
I move we accept that
Okay,
amount.
motion has been made and seconded.
Second.
Is there a need for further discussion? Hearing no need for further discussion, all in favor?
All right.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. So we will take care of that and get that purchased. Just making myself a note here for a minute. Okay. Moving right along here. Oh, good. Somebody else gets to talk. Community garden status report, Deborah.
All right. We've received 29 applications.
Wow.
Yep. The place is going to be out of control this year. There's 22 Berlin residents and 7 out-of-town residents who are waitlisted. Of the 20 by 20 plots that we usually have had, all of them have been requested. 11 of the 12 available 10 by 10s have been requested, and all of the raised beds, all 8 of the raised beds have been requested. So it's full up.
Great.
Yeah, the people are very excited. So
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, do you have any numbers that identify how many people in this quantity you cited come from the new apartment complex?
if I remember correctly, there's 5 or 6 of them.
Great,
And
okay,
they're all in the 10 by 10s. They've,
okay.
they've
right.
taken the advice in the document that we provide to start with a 10 by 10
Right,
and think about expanding after the first year. So
very good.
I've done a tentative layout of the garden, and I guess there's two, as I'm going through this, there's, because we've never had this kind of these kind of numbers as long as I've been doing this. And usually I've been scrambling and asking people if they'll actually take an extra plot so that we don't have plots that are not being farmed and going to weed. So when we had those surplus plots and demand was low, some of the gardeners did take on extra plots and they did keep them. But in our guidelines, it says you are only eligible to have 1 per family.
Right.
So I think it's something everybody's going to have to reread the rules and take a look at this, because the quandary I am in is mainly we have people in town who have farmed 2 or 3 plots for years. And I understand that if we're accepting people from out of town, that certainly they would be waitlisted and they would be bumped out.
Right.
So that people could keep those plots. But now we have the person with the giant plot in the back who is out of town.
Right.
We have some other out-of-town gardeners who have asked for more space. We have tentatively said that we could accommodate the lady who wants the very large space, but I'm not quite sure, as I'm looking at this, how can I say no to an out-of-town gardener who wants 2 plots when we're going to give this other lady a massive plot?
That's why we pay you the big bucks, Deborah.
To think of these wonderful questions for all of us to ponder. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and I think that I think everything will be okay this year, but I do think we need to look at that with, so many, we think we have it just perfect, and then something happens like COVID, and things change, and we have a run on all
Scott,
these.
we've lost you.
Oh,
We have someone else in attendance.
Oh.
Oh, there we go.
like his son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
You're muted too, so.
yeah, the other thing that has come up is the deadlines again, because March 1st was the deadline for everybody to get everything in.
Yeah.
But Berlin, it says in our guidelines, Berlin residents have until April 15th now to kind of come in. But how does that leave? All of a sudden, I'm going to lay a plot out because everything's in March 1st. And then all of a sudden I got to change it by April 15th comes around. Did I make sense with that?
Yeah, I think so. Well, first of all, as we have discussed and as reflected in our rules and regulations, clearly the residents of Berlin have priority.
Absolutely.
That's number one.
Yes.
Okay. With respect to the new person from out of town that is looking for a very large plot, one or two things can happen. Either we can scale her down to accommodate other people, and she can decide whether she wants to continue on, to farm down there or not. I think it would be more appropriate that once all of the Berlin residents are satisfied, and if there are some other out-of-town people who want one or two, I think we should strive to accommodate that. And whatever's left over, if you will, this other person who wants a very large area gets whatever is left over.
Okay.
think- To me, that sounds like a fair approach. I mean,
Yeah, that was part of what was my concern was because applications still trickle in and I'm still getting inquiries from people from surrounding towns. And at what point, I mean, do I keep chipping away at that back part that was going to be assigned to her? Do we expand it? Do we ask Buddy to push it out a little bit more? I think
well,
my,
as you know, we, in anticipation of this, we did expand it this past fall. One of the problems you have, and it can be done, but yes, we could ask Buddy to expand it a bit more, but that's really going to be virgin ground, which is always very difficult to farm the very first year. But if need be, maybe we can ask him as we get closer to, into the mid-April timeframe or thereabouts, to when he gets ready to till. If we have to, we could probably have him do another strip, 10 feet wide or something like that, on the side of 290.
okay. I did go down today to measure it all out. So I know exactly how much land is cultivated at this point. And I mean, it's perfect right now.
Okay.
For everything that's come in, there is one 10 by 10 plot left.
Okay.
And that's it. If we are to do it as to accommodate everybody who has applied right now. So
All right.
my question is just now, I know it's good to go right now, but what's going to happen in the next month and how many more applications are going to come in and how the bumping is going to occur. So
we'll have to address this again at our next meeting in early April
okay.
and make some final decisions there, because at some point, Buddy's going to have to be tilling it. I think again, it's always weather dependent, of course, but I think he strives to do it in the mid to latter part of April timeframe.
Right.
And we'll just see where we are at our next meeting and have to make whatever decisions are appropriate at that time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fine.
I'm sorry.
I said that sounds fine.
Okay. Very good. Does anybody have any questions of Deborah? All right, very good. Thank you, Deborah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next subject under new business, grant balance. Laura mentioned in the Treasury's report, $2,132.89, but with some pending items. And I think the major pending item was the $935.16 invoice. So I think, and I'm going to rely on Deborah to check it out later on if I'm off a little bit, but I think after that invoice is subtracted, we're looking at a balance of $1,197.75 in the grant account.
73 cents, but yes.
Darn it, 70 cents.
She gets that penny every time, doesn't she?
He sure does. Okay,
Because
73
I already
cents.
have it in my spreadsheet.
Okay. So. I gotta change that number too, 72 cents. Okay. So, from my math is gonna be all off by pennies now, but it'll be close enough for this subject. I'm not gonna use the pennies anymore. So if we have $1,197 and we subtract from that the 425 that you all have just approved, and we put a guesstimate in until we can talk to Buddy directly of $500 for re-roofing the shed, we should have in the neighborhood of $270 remaining in the grant. So that's about where we are with the grant funds. And if nothing else comes up, because I think we have just about everything we want for the springtime out of the grant, we might be able to go back and visit the possibility of additional security requirements at the garden, namely all right, James, what is it called? Video camera, security camera system to protect our assets down there?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so we might have a budget around $270 to accomplish that, but again, we won't make that decision tonight. We'll see where we are with all these other items.
Well, it seems like there's some stuff out there that would do what we would want it to for like $200. So
Okay,
that seems like
very good. It was mentioned earlier by Laura that in our donation account, there was a pending item, potential pending item of $150 for tiller repair parts. So as you know, as we discussed in prior meetings rather, there's been a donation of a tiller to the community garden. The highway department has agreed to try to get it up and running. We agreed to reimburse out of our donation account the highway department for up to $150 for any parts they may need to get that up and going. So when I had my discussion a couple of days ago with David relative to the raised beds, I asked him if he had an opportunity to see if he could get the tiller going and running. And he hasn't yet. I guess he's been shorthanded a couple of people. So there's no sense of urgency here. We still got plenty of time. So that money is still just sitting out there until they get to see what the condition is of that tiller and whether they'll need to make that expenditure or not. So that's where that stands. So in anticipation of having a tiller down there, I thought it was appropriate to draft some rules and regulations on the use of the tiller, which I have emailed to all of you, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to take a look at it. So I'd just like to go over that and we can discuss it. So this would be something that would be posted in the garden shed. I know you can't read that other than the big print, but I'll run through them quickly. The first rule would be to obtain, the gardeners must obtain garden manager's authorization to use the tiller. The second one is no one under the age of 18 is to use the tiller. That's a state law relative to farming, okay? And secondly, we want to avoid, Mr. Jones down there with his 8-year-old grandson wanting to run the tiller. That would be inappropriate. The next goal would be only experienced operators should use the tiller. We don't need anybody slicing off their toes if they don't know how to operate one of these things. The tiller is to be used in existing plots only after the entire garden has been tilled by the Agricultural Commission and is not to be used to expand plots. The next item After the tiller is shut off and before it is stored in the shed, remove any grass/weeds from the tines. We don't want material building up on the tines and the next person goes to use it and can't use it because it won't do its job because it's full of grass and weeds. Do not store the tiller hot in the garden shed after use. Let the tiller cool down first. Next item. Let the tiller do the work. Do not push down on the tiller handles when tilling. So people think it's a benefit to really push down on the handles to make that tiller dig deep and everything. That's not the way tillers work. You just let them go along naturally. If you push down too hard, you can end up burning out the unit. The next item, use only regular gas, paren 87 octane, paren, in the tiller fuel tank. If the gas can is near empty or empty, after the tiller is used, refill the can and return it to the garden shed. So that'll be an item we have to purchase, 1 gallon can to be put in the shed. The tiller is not to be removed from the community garden site. So those are the rules I come up with. You all have any additional ones or suggestions on the existing ones? Please come forth.
Logistically, just for things to read, I would suggest moving the statement about letting the tiller do the work, do not push down, up under the one that says only experienced users should use the tiller,
Okay,
just so that it follows the use of it.
good point. We can do that. That's an easy one. When I dictate these to Elaine and she types them up for me, I don't think of all these things.
It's okay. That's why you have all of us.
Yes, I know. I know.
Yeah.
I would put the, do not store the tiller hot in the garden shed in like red ink so that it sticks out.
All caps, maybe?
Yeah, but in a different color ink.
Yeah, or just the word hot in red.
Yeah.
Okay. Red ink. We can do that, I think. Let me ask my secretary. Can we do that, Elaine? Of course.
And
What else you got, folks?
it would be possible for me to do a day when I invite anybody who wants to use it to come down to see how it operates. I am happy to do a quick teaching session.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it on demand for everybody who wants a private lesson, but I will provide a day that I'll go down there, go over how it works, and then
Excellent.
maybe also it would be helpful. I don't know about your tiller, but on mine, right on the actual machine, it tells you all the
It's generally on there and
steps. So
certainly once the tiller is down there and ready for that demonstration, you know, I can find a time to at least go over with you, Deborah, if not other people, the basic operation of the unit.
okay, well, you
We can do it.
show me, I can then take that off
Okay.
your hands. You don't
Yeah.
need to be doing that, Carl. As long as you
Okay.
teach me, I can then teach
Okay,
people at the garden.
okay, we can
and then-
arrange that.
And then perhaps post the steps as well. Because a lot of people will need, they'll see it, but then they're going to need the reminder of exactly what the steps are for how to operate it.
If my recollection is correct, I think there's a big decal on the unit that does that, but I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah, I know
It's been
there's
some time.
mine.
Yeah.
So there probably is.
Yeah.
It's a Troy built, right?
No, this was a Husqvarna.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay,
Don't remember if we discussed this before, but are we paying for the gas or keeping the tank, keeping the gas tank filled?
well,
What's
here's my thinking on that. I did think about that. I didn't think it was one we should put in the rules other than what I mentioned about getting the tank filled. I think
Yeah, it's not,
initially,
this is not a question for the rules. It's just a.
no, I
general
understand.
question.
I think initially, we're gonna have to go through this learning process. I think what, my thinking is, we'll buy a reasonably quality 1 gallon tank that has a good spout to pour, and fill it up and put it in the shed. See what kind of use we get. If somebody's using it for several hours or whatever, I think it's appropriate that they fill the can back up. And that's what that rule was intended, that we went through earlier. But again, it's, let's see what happens type of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yes, it does. And in part, it came to mind because I was thinking, when you said fill the can, I was thinking fill the tank, like use the can to fill the tank. Don't leave the tank empty on the tiller.
Well, as long as the can is full, if the
It
tank
doesn't
is-
matter, yeah.
It doesn't matter, so.
In fact, they might not want to towards the end of the season, so we can drain it.
Right. I think as long as there's an adequate amount of gasoline in a 1 gallon container, whatever the status of the fuel is in the tank on the machine, it is what it is. And as long as there's gas there that people can use, and if somebody's using it and they empty the gas can, then they ought to take it on themselves to spend $3, because it would cost a lot more than $3 to have somebody come in and till their plat for them. They ought to take it upon themselves to go back to the Shell station down the road and fill it up and bring it back to the community garden. That's my thinking on the matter. Okay. Anything else? Scott, thank you for being here this evening. Do you have any words? Oh, there is one other thing, and this is a good thing for you, sir. It has come to my attention by way of Laura that there's a potential retail cannabis store, I guess, on Banner Road, right in behind the deck facility and right in behind the community garden. Can you all enlighten us on that matter?
I think that company was fairly far down that road and has run into some serious problems in that Banner Road apparently is not really a road. It is an easement offered by DCU, and DCU, being a bank, does not want necessarily something that is federally not allowed crossing their property. And so I believe the last report I had was C3 Industries has withdrawn their request to go into Banner Road.
Oh, terrific from my point of view anyways. I don't know if everybody else agrees, but from my point of view, I think that's great. Okay, very good. Thank you for that update.
And then I'm going to attend here and there. The select board is trying to make sure there's some great communications or better communications between committees and the select board. And so the select board divvied up the committees. I selected the agricultural committee. I actually love the idea of community gardens. I did some of this stuff and I did some inner city organizing. And so probably can't make all the meetings, but we'll make some. I will definitely read the minutes and look at agendas. And really, basically it gives you a conduit if there are things that you think you need for support from the select board,
Okay.
an easy access.
Excellent, thank you. Very good, appreciate that. And thank you for joining us tonight. And we look forward to you joining us on other meetings.
I have one last question. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Deborah, no problem.
When do you want me to cash the checks for the out-of-town gardeners and make a final decision? Do you want me to wait until April 15th?
How long have you had some of these?
Since mid-January, and I did inform all of them that we were holding them until we were sure, but April 15th is going to be a little late. If I don't get them in before April 15th, then they're not going to get in until May.
Okay. Yeah, I think you probably should cash them, put them in, and we'll deposit them. And worst comes to worst, we'll have to make arrangements to have our town accountant or town treasurer, I should say, reimburse them.
Okay, and final assignments? Can I make the final assignments April 1st, or do I still need to wait till April 15th?
You probably want to give us an update at the next meeting.
The next meeting?
I don't know when that is, probably April 7th or 8th. I don't have a calendar in front of me.
No, it's April 13th.
Oh, it's April 13th, our next meeting? Okay.
I would say if it's just a normal, okay, it's just the big beds you gotta be careful with.
Yeah, I mean, I can wait and see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And if it really slows down, there's usually, it's trickling and then there's nothing. And then we get one or two people who come in way after the deadline. So I'll have it all set and ready, and check at the next meeting.
Okay. All right, very good. Anybody else have any comments, concerns, complaints, observations? Hearing none, make a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion was made and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Very good. Thank you.